Talladega, located off I-20 between Atlanta and Birmingham, opened back in 1969, has been a popular gathering place for NASCAR ever since. And to help explain why this track is such a field of dreams, we wanted to ask somebody, a big name sports star from the state of Alabama, but we couldn't get Charles Barkley. He was working. Fortunately, we have Larry McReynolds, our own Larry, back from Birmingham. And Larry, you know we kid, but you're proud of this place. I know that.
Well, yeah, Chris, up until 1969, the biggest thing, maybe the only thing in the state of Alabama was Alabama-Auburn football. Of course, someone that went to Florida International University wouldn't know a whole lot about football. I kid because I care, Chris. But anyhow, in 1969, when they built this speedway, it changed the state of Alabama, and boy, has it ever made history in the sport of NASCAR.
Growing up in Alabama, I got my first taste of Talladega when I was 12 years old back in 1971. Now, like any good NASCAR legend, the story of Talladega has been riddled with twists, with turns, and high-speed drama from day one. This high bank track was a vision of Bill France Sr.'s. It had opened in 1969. Now, there was some concern about the tires not being able to handle the high speeds, and that led to 32 drivers, including the king, Richard Petty, and Donnie Allison, to boycott the race.
You know, Richard and I were standing there talking to Bill France. He turned and saw Richard's car partially loaded on the truck and said, well, you're loaded up. If you want to leave, you go ahead and leave. And then everybody started loading up, and Bill France stuck to his guns, and they ran that race.
That made it a little easier for Richard Brickhouse to win that first race here. Hey, you want to talk speed? Benny Parsons recorded NASCAR's first 200-plus qualifying lap in 1982. And just 5 years later, Bill Elliott qualified with a speed over 212 miles per hour. And in that race, the field averaged 207 miles per hour. 207! So it was no surprise that was the last time Talladega would run without the dreaded carburetor restrictor plate. But restricted speeds did not lead to restricted drama, because many of the biggest crashes in NASCAR have occurred here. Talladega fans, they've seen it all. Bobby Allison flying into the fence.
The engine blew up and catapulted me up into the air and 210 miles an hour backwards.
And how about Rusty Wallace crossed the finish line in the air? Elliott Sadler's wild ride, and that record 27-car pileup just a few years ago. If I had to describe the racing at Talladega in one word, it'd be unpredictable. Anyone can win here. 7 drivers, including Phil Parsons and Brian Vickers, claim this track as their sole win. In fact, it took 14 summer races to get the first repeat winner. My guy, DW, he did it. But one of NASCAR's most famous families seemed to buck that trend. Dale Earnhardt won here a staggering 10 times. His first win came in 1983, and in 2000, with just a few laps to go, the Intimidator drove right up through the middle of the field to get that final win of his legendary career. The Earnhardt tradition continued. Just 1 year after his father's last race, Dale Jr. won for the first time at Talladega, and he eventually became the only driver to ever win 4 consecutive races here. And how about those fans? You really should experience this place from the infield. You'll never be the same. From walking to banking with my father as a kid, to getting my start in racing just 60 miles to the west of here and winning here with the late Davey Allison, I still get excited every time we come here. Talladega is a lot of things, but I can guarantee you it's never disappointing.
Well, guys, I was fortunate enough to win 23 races in the Sprint Cup Series, 2 Daytona 500s, but I guess coming to a place where, when I was only 11 or 12 years old, hanging on the fence, looking at the race cars, looking at the guys on pit road, to win that race with one of the Alabama gang in 1992, trust me, one of the most special moments in my career.